Hello aspirants, very good morning to all of you. So friends, welcome back to Anthropology PYQ series. Let's try to decode every question and let's master every concept. So friends, as a part of our discussion, let us proceed with another important question from Anthropology paper 2. So let's try to discuss about the particular question. So where the question of the day with us is this. Look at the question. Discuss the rising ethnic conflicts in India and propose possible remedial measures for this particular issue. So this is the particular question that is there with us. Now let us try to understand and let us try to learn the approach as well as how we can answer this particular question, right? So did anyone attempted this particular question? So those who have joined in online, you can just give your indication that you have attempted or not attempted. Right. So now let us try to just proceed with how we can approach this particular question. So now the question is from the concept of ethnicity. So in unit number 7 you have the concept of ethnicity. So from that particular point concept the question has been given. Now let us try to understand this in a systematic fashion. Right. So when we talk from the ethnic conflicts, so before we talk about the ethnic conflicts, we should talk or we should understand about some basic words. So let's try to understand some of the basic words related to this. So here we should know first about the concept of ethnicity. What is the concept of ethnicity? So let's try to understand this in a systematic fashion first. So understanding basics are very, very important. So from that point of view, let us understand the basics first. Okay, so first, when we talk from the ethnicity, before we talk from ethnicity, so we should talk about another important word, that is ethnic. So let's start with the word ethnic. So the word ethnic is basically, it is derived from a Greek word. It is derived from a Greek word that is known as ethnos. And in Greek, ethnos basically it refers to nation. Right? So this is one basic thing that you should know. So in Greek, the word ethnic basically refers to nation. And furthermore, if you see, what do you mean by a nation? So again, if you see, nation is nothing but group of people with a common culture. This is the very simple definition that we can give for a nation. A group of people with common culture. That means a group of people or group of individuals or association of individuals who shares common culture and all such kind of definitions we can give it. So when we talk from the nation point of view, so nation is a kind of demographic entity. So state, country and nation. Amongst these three, nation is a demographic entity, whereas state is political entity and the country is a kind of geographical entity. So this is how, so you should know some of the basic differentiations and demarcations. Right friends? Now let us further understand and let's further proceed towards the next important word that we should know. Now we have understood what is ethnic. Now let's try to understand the ethnic groups. So what do you mean by ethnic group? What is an ethnic group? So ethnic group basically it refers to group of people who shares common culture and some of the common physical as well as socio-cultural characteristics. So that we will call it as an ethnic group. So this is another important thing. So group of people who shares common physical and socio-cultural characteristics. So this is one basic information that you should know. So now, can you give any example or can you recollect any example for the So ethnic groups. So ethnic groups could be any group which possess some physical as well as socio-cultural, which share some common physical as well as socio-cultural characteristics. Or in other ways, you can simply mention it as a culture, common culture. That's one thing. Now, the ethnic groups could be linguistic groups. Ethnic groups could be religious groups. Ethnic groups could be, say, for example, any tribal groups like that. So, this is another important thing that you should know. So, religious groups. So, think about any religious group. So, be it could be Hindus, be it could be Muslim, be it could be Jews, Christians, all that kind of religious group is an example for an ethnic group. Is that it clear? Now, linguistic groups also could be another example. Linguistic groups. Say for example, all those who speak Bengali, all those who speak Hindi, all those speak Telugu, all those speak Kannada, so Marathi, so like that we can have linguistic groups. So that would be one another thing. So then apart from this, we can have some other examples of tribal groups, like ethnic groups, like tribals. Tribal groups. So we have lot of tribes and lot of tribal groups. So everything could be picked as, every group could be picked as an example for this particular thing, right? So these are ethnic groups, right friends? Now, in a society, if you see, different ethnic groups will exist. So various ethnic groups will be present in a society. Now, when the different groups are present in the society, can't we expect some interrelationship amongst themselves? So that's where you have to focus. Now, there, what happens if you see from the ethnic groups? So there we can expect relationship between different ethnic groups. Different ethnic groups that will be there in society. That means they will interact amongst themselves for various purposes. Now, these relations, when we talk, these relations could be of two types. One would be friendly as well as like mutual interrelations. Okay. So, interrelationship. Or there could be hostile relationships. Hostile relations. So there could be this kind of thing. So what am I trying to explain is that, so when an ethnic groups, different ethnic groups do exist in society, and when different ethnic groups exist in society, so there they will enter into some sort of relationships between those ethnic groups. So these relations could be one thing, that is interrelationship amongst themselves, or there could be hostile relations or hostile relationship. So that could be one another thing. So hostile relationships. Now, what you have to catch here is that, so the interrelationship that exists among different ethnic groups is known as ethnicity. So try to catch this thing. Is that it clear? Now, sometimes what we have said that there sometimes we can expect some hostile relationships. So hostile relationships means there you can expect certain tensions, certain conflicts, or certain odd reactions between them. So such a kind of thing we can call it as ethnic conflicts. Ethnic conflicts. So in India as of now, so if you see in current contemporary times, there was a trend of rising ethnic conflicts due to the vividity and diversity of Indian culture. So say for example, there are so many religious conflicts that are escalating, and there were so many tribal conflicts that are escalating, and there were so many linguistic conflicts that are escalating. So now the question seeks to explain, or question seeks us to highlight what are the possible causes for it and what are the possible remedial measures for such kind of issues. Is that it clear? So that's the basic question, right? Now let us try to understand what are the important causes for rising ethnic conflicts in India. Now examples, if I want to say, for example, conflict between two religious groups, so conflict between Hindus and Muslims, so that's an example. So conflict between, say for example, Hindi speaking and non-Hindi speaking people, so that's another important thing. So this is an example for linguistic ethnic conflict. So like that, you have to understand what is ethnic conflict first, and then we can enter into the basic demand of the question, right? So now let us try to enter into the another important section of the question, that is rising ethnic conflicts and causes for the same. So what are the causes for the same? So let's try to pick it. So rising ethnic conflicts. Rising ethnic conflicts and their causes. So let us try to understand one by one. So whatever the causes that you also feel, so you can just pick and you can just bring into the discussion. So can you pick or can you mention any cause? So when we generally talk from the ethnic conflicts, one of the important cause for these ethnic conflicts is that, so ethnic politics or politicization of the ethnicity. So that's one another important thing. So first and foremost, so point that you can keep is this. So ethnic politics or let me so ethnic politics or you can say politicization of ethnicity. So this is one important issue. So where we can see in recent times there were so many ethnic conflicts. Think about recent or think about there were so many conflicts. So between Naga and Kuki kind of Naga and Kuki kind of ethnic conflict, or you can say Garo Kasi ethnic kind of conflict. So there are some of the examples that you can have. So for this particular thing. So remember Garo Kasi ethnic conflict. So they were fighting for the land as well as over political issues. So that's one thing. Then you can say Kuki and Naga conflict. So there are some of the basic examples, right? So you can just mention and you can just pitch it. So furthermore, if you see, so you can talk about the next important cause, like the socio-economic disparities. So that is one another important point that you can mention. So socio-economic as well as regional disparities. So due to uneven balance, uneven development or socio-economic disparities, like say for example unemployment, non-availability of the employment opportunities or educational facilities or lack of development or some sort of these socio-economic or regional disparities. So this may further lead to ethnic conflicts. So what example we can take? So recently if we take, so generally we can have we can see some conflicts like local reservation or locals first kind of policies that we can have it. So have you heard about the son of the soil movement? So sons of the soil movement. Sons of the soil movement. So which you can say in a simple fashion. So this can also be called as the Bhumiputra movement. Bhumiputra movement. So mostly you might have heard about this Bhumiputra movement. So where locals should be given the importance first, be it could be in the jobs, be it could be in the educational opportunities, or be it could be in any aspect. So that's one important thing. So we can see this kind of movements or ethnic conflicts we have evidenced in Maharashtra. So you can try to recollect that. So that was one example. So locals and non-locals, migrant workers and non-migrant people. So this is one important conflict between migrant people as well as non-migrant people. So this is one important example. So in the similar fashion, we can have other important causes. So any other causes, if you can text in the chat box, right? So there were so many ethnic conflicts also that arises because of the territorial issues. So territorial issues are border-based aspects. So that is another important thing. So territorial disputes are border-based disputes. So this is another important cause for ethnic conflicts. So can you give any example of any border-based dispute, or can you mention any territorial dispute which is leading to ethnic conflict, that is conflict between two groups of the society in India? So if you see, so recently we had an example very recently, Karbi Anglong violence that you can see. Very recently this has happened. So roughly within 1 week or 4 or 5 days back. So there was like some of the reasons that like there were land disputes. So like with respect to 6 scheduled areas and disputes over the land area. So like that. So this is one important aspect. So Karbi Anglong violence. So here, so there was violence between the one thing like tribal versus non-tribal. So this is one such kind of dispute. So tribal versus non-tribal. So this was a case, we can have it. Then apart from this, what further causes will be responsible for the ethnic conflicts? So as we have understood, ethnic conflicts means conflicts between two different groups of the society or the nation. Now, so think about one of the important causes. So illegal infiltration of the people from the other countries. So illegal infiltration or cross-border issues. So that is another important factor. So illegal infiltration, or you can say cross-border issues. So this could be another important reason or best reason for the ethnic conflicts, right? So there we can see very recently like what has happened in the Manipur violence. So when Manipur violence, that was like a violence between the conflicts between Kukis and Meiteis that was happening. So these violence has aggravated due to further important causes like illegal infiltration of the like refugees from the Myanmar. So that was another important reason or cause that we can mention. So we can mention things like, for example, influx of refugees from Myanmar. So what did it do? So it has escalated or aggravated the Manipur violence. So that is one thing. Manipur violence. So this Manipur violence was between Kukis and Meiteis. So where like a tribal versus non-tribal. So there was like Maitis wanted to just incorporate, they were demanding for them to incorporate into the ST category. So there the issues were differences started. So this is one another thing. So furthermore, if you see, so other example, other factor also we can see. So in India, like due to diversity, knowingly or unknowingly, so there was a kind of hate speeches or a kind of infodemic spread that is there. So hate speech or infodemics is one another important cause. Hate speech or infodemics. Infodemics means what? So spread of rumors, like a kind of epidemic. So when they will affect the larger section of the people and when they cause some of these ethnic conflicts kind of thing, so that is basically the infodemics that you can say. So there are so many, plenty of examples for this. So think about religious conflicts. It all happens because of the infodemics only. So why think like there could be some misinformation or like rumors may spread about like one community about another community. So this leads to religious conflicts. So think about Kashmir violence. So Kashmir Pandits as well as Kashmir Muslims. So there was a kind of ethnic conflict. So in the same fashion, at different parts of India, you can see religious conflict. So that is another important example. So in the similar fashion, you can see linguistic conflicts also. Linguistic conflicts. So if you see, there was a row or there was a disagreement over the implementation of the national education policy which has been recently flouted by the government of India. So where they were just trying to use 3 language formula. So on this, so there was some opposition from the southern Indian states. So where you can see, particularly from Tamil Nadu, there was a clear-cut disagreement with this and they were just rising agitations against that imposition of Hindi as the language, third language. So there conflict between Hindi and non-Hindi speaking people. So this is a kind of thing. So this is one of the important cause. So like this, if you go on telling, there are so many causes, but nevertheless for the exam point of view, so you can pick some of the such kind of important causes and you can explain with some examples so that you can give some sort of evidences also for that. Right friends, so this is what one thing that you can have. So these are basically with respect to the causes. Now let us try to understand and let us try to proceed with respect to the remedial measures. What could be the possible remedial measures for the same? So when we see from the perspective of the remedial measures, so friends, try to think and try to text in the chat box. So by the time like I'll further mention it. So possible remedial measures. So what possible remedial measures we can take? Possible remedial measures. Now, for the first, like we have to take some important steps. So what are those important steps that we can take? Now, first thing is that as we have understood that politicization of the ethnicity is one of the important aspect. So here very important care that we have to take is that, so we should systematically depoliticize the ethnicity. So depoliticization of the ethnicity is one important aspect. So we have to take very much care in this. So first and foremost thing is depoliticization. Depoliticization of ethnicity. That means what we should do or what we should not do. So we have to systematically regulate various aspects like no hate speech. That's one important thing. No vote bank politics. No instigation of one community by another community. So means like politically motivated aspects. And then furthermore, there should not be any sort of electoral manipulations for the amongst the community. So this could be another important factor. So there we can have some of the ways. So how we can proceed with this? So you can mention, so things like, let's say, regulation of hate speech. Regulation of hate speech. And then say, for example, say no to vote bank politics. Vote bank politics. So if I want to just win in the elections, I have to do some divide and spread, divide and rule kind of policies. So such kind of things should not be there. So like that. So then apart from that, like electoral manipulations should not be there. So like that, we can have different remedial measures from the perspective of the politicization of the ethnicity. So this is one important reason. Right, friends? So furthermore, so what further we can take is that, so there were so many socio-economic disparities were there, regional disparities were there. So for that, what best we can do is that we can formulate inclusive governance, and furthermore, like culturally sensitive policy making. So that is another important aspect that we can do. So with respect to governance, so this we can do. So inclusive governance policies. Inclusive governance and culturally sensitive policy making we have to adapt. Culturally sensitive policy making. That means before making a particular policy or before making a particular developmental policy, we have to think, so to what extent this will affect, or to what extent this will hurt the sentiments of a section. So by keeping all such kind of greater things, so culturally sensitive policy making should be there, and people should be involved in more of the more participation of the people in governance making or policy making, that should be there. So that is another important plausible solution for this, right? So then there were so many religious conflicts and that kind of thing. So our ethnic conflicts were rising. So for that, what best we can do is that we can systematically establish communal harmony, so through cultural sensitization. So that is one important aspect. So establishing communal harmony. Establishing communal harmony through culture sensitization. So how we can do this cultural sensitization? So we should inculcate the open-mindedness amongst the people. We should inculcate a kind of feeling that unity amongst diversity kind of thing. So where like we should invite, say for example, so if there is a festival, so we have to celebrate, all the people of India have to celebrate that. So through that way, so we should sensitize the people and we should inculcate a kind of open-mindedness. So this further reduces or may reduce the ethnic conflicts amongst this. Then furthermore, what best we can do? So we can promote, one thing is that ethnic dialogue as well as peace building activities. So that is another important thing. So inter-ethnic dialogue and peace building mechanisms. Peace building mechanisms, and we have to just accentuate them. So say for example, there were so many issues like Mizo Accord, Assam Accord, such kind of things. So we have to implement them not only on paper but in practicality also. So that's how. So and furthermore, like we should inculcate some sort of that inter-ethnic dialogue. So we have to arrange some dialogue situation between the ethnic groups so that they can discuss and they can just try to solve the things in an amicable fashion. That is one another thing. So apart from this, there were so many border issues also, like cross-border infiltration was there. So for that, what we have to do, we have to strengthen the border security and we have to curb the illegal infiltrations. So that is one thing. So strengthening border security and curb illegal infiltrations. This could be another plausible remedial measure. So when we do that, so the border people or ethnic groups, they may not feel insecurity about their existence. So there will be some sort of reduction in the ethnic conflicts. So that's one another thing. Then there was like unequal distribution of the wealth, or what we say like socio-economic disparities was another important thing. So what best we can do is that, so one another important thing, equitable socio-economic development we can take up. This would be one important thing. Equitable socio-economic development, or further way we can say like distribution, or we should focus on more distributive justice. So we can focus on this. So among social justice, distributive justice we can focus. So that's where, so we can reduce some of the ethnic conflicts. Is that it clear? So these are some of the important things. So any other things that we are getting? So we are getting one suggestion. So focused development and resource management. So very good. So this is what? So Lisa Pell. So Lisa Pell is pitching out the focused development. So where we can say equitable or socio-economic development. So where we can call it as a kind of focused development. So this is one important thing you can take. Focused development, and you can say resource management. So resource management means like actually conflicts will happen because of various unequal access to the resources. So this is where like we have to provide some appropriate resource management so that there won't be any deprivation of the resources. Be it could be the employment, be it could be the education, be it could be the healthcare facilities, be it could be the developmental activities. So we should try to see and we should try to ensure that there would be a kind of equitable socio-economic development, or like focused development or resource management, efficient resource management, right? So that's one another important thing. So these are possible remedial measures. So that's how, so you can just go through and you can just write such kind of answers, right friends? So this was entirely the concept. So try to understand basically what is ethnicity first. So basically ethnicity basically refers to the interrelationship that exists between different ethnic groups, basically refers to ethnicity. And now what about ethnic conflicts? So sometimes between ethnic groups there could be tensions, there could be conflicts, or there could be some issues. So such kind of tensions or hostile relationships that exist between two different ethnic groups is basically known as ethnic conflicts. So this is where you should understand and you should try to learn ahead and move ahead. So friends, I hope it is clear to you all. So is there any particular doubts in this particular concept? So we have understood the causes as well as remedial measures. So causes were all these things. So correspondingly we have to pitch and we have to mention about the remedial measures also. So these are the remedial measures. I hope it is clear to you all. So that's all for the day from my side, friends. So if there is any doubts, you can text in the chat box. Otherwise, we can wind up the discussion. So is it clear? Shall we wind off? Right. So I hope there are no more doubts. So that's all for the day from my side, friends. So let's wind up the discussion for the day and let's meet on 2nd. So like 31st and 1st, it will be a break for you. So we'll meet on 2nd and let's continue with another important question. Right, so that's all. It's me, your Dr. Suresh Guramkuna, signing off. Thank you all for joining me with this session.